Welcome to the Weekly Terry, where we are going to talk about some stuff today. It's going to be heavy today because Star Trek is become such an interesting place. Pretty much most of new Star Trek just sucks.
Yeah,
it's really just terrible. It's like awful. A couple things we want to tell you guys before we start this. I don't know how long you've been watching us, but it's really important that you know that we started on YouTube many years ago, about the same time that Nerdrotic started and Doomcock started. We all started about the same time, okay?
Right.
Amongst a bunch of other YouTubers. Egotastic Fun Time's another one. So we all started about the same time, and we all started talking about how terrible new Star Trek was right from the beginning.
Right.
Absolutely awful. And we kind of, became a community together. Now, after a short time, Brian and I doing this type of show, this two-person show, wasn't really working out great for us. People were showing up. We get lots of great views. We ended up turning our primary channel into like a documentary style type thing, which most of you guys watch. And it ended up really working out better for us.
Yeah, that also fit our creative need more too.
I think so, yeah. Because talking about but what we realized was that after a couple of years of doing that, we missed doing this.
Right.
Because this is also an outlet for us. So, but while that was happening, all the great big channels, they kind of just passed us by. So they became super popular. Nerdrotic went, crazy. Doomcock went crazy. Everybody went crazy. Okay. And we kind of said, well, we started over. New channel, whole bunch of new stuff, and a lot of really great fans and people who come and watch us now. And we love it. But don't for any moment or second think that because our subs are 1.85K that we haven't been here since the beginning.
Yeah.
And heard all of the narratives from the beginning. Okay. Don't think that our opinion is any less valuable as a result of the fact that we have less people watching, because we know as much, if not more, than some of these other people. Okay. Very interesting. So, but one person who knows a lot more than us is Robert Meyer Burnett.
Yeah.
He's been around for a long time. He's been doing this gig a lot longer than the rest of us have.
Yeah, even longer than everyone else. Yeah.
Even longer than everybody else. He's been doing it. And he's a respected member of the community, and he's what we would call probably like kind of one of the respected elders, right? He's probably about, 10 years older than me. And he's a respected member of the community. So, but sometimes he does wild things. You know what I mean? He just kind of does crazy stuff. So yesterday on Twitter, I don't even know where it came from, out of the blue. Maybe he saw one of Doomcock's videos, but Rob basically called Doomcock out. Do you have that tweet? Can we pop it up real quick?
Yes, we can. Here we go.
So
I call you out.
He go ahead and read it. Go ahead and read it for us.
Doomcock, I call you out. I demand you and I stream together after Picard's. I'm gonna try to do it in RMB's voice, right? After Picard's season 4 airs, you must watch 4 episodes and then come on my channel and we review the series together. I'm willing to bet those 4 episodes will win you over. You game at Terry Metalis.
Okay, so Robert put this out, and let me tell you something. This was a good-natured tweet. We haven't talked to Rob since this came out, but we know his personality. This is a good-natured tweet, despite the fact that there's a bunch of capital letters in here. And as we all know, old people don't know how to use caps. So, including ourselves sometimes. This was a tongue-in-cheek tweet. And part of the problem is that Rob believes that everybody, once the truth is made available to everyone will see it, and every reasonable person will come to the light. But what Rob does not realize is that Doomcock is not, he is an ideologue, and we're going to talk more about that. Okay, he has become an ideologue. So Doomcock replies back, and I'm not exactly sure why he did this, but he deleted like the 3 of the tweets that he initially sent back to Rob.
Yeah,
which was, and I'll tell you why he.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you real quick. Side note: I don't know why people delete their tweets constantly. It's almost like they're tweeting, they're not thinking, and then they're deleting.
Well, that's pretty much what happened. So
we never delete our tweets unless we misspelled something.
No, we don't. So, but the reason why he deleted him was because he came back really hard at Rob. Like he came back talking about how you don't want me on your show because I will mess you up, and and just really coming at him like from a place of not very cool. And I think if you'll notice the tweets that he has up now, he left some of them later on, but those initial tweets were very angry and like kind of aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you don't want me on your show, I will end you. I mean, just like a lot of making him look like he's superior, right? Which I get, that's kind of maybe his shtick. And by the way, got nothing against what he does, because listen, it's hard enough to make money in this damn world.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you can figure out a way to do it and still go to bed at night with a clear conscience, do it.
Yeah. A great man once said, "It's hard out there for a pimp. Hate the game, not the player.
Pimping ain't easy."
And pimping ain't easy.
Yeah.
Another great man once said, "You're either slinging crack rock or you got a wicked jump shot."
Okay, I don't know about that one.
Rest in peace, Biggie Smalls.
Oh, okay. That's a good one. So he came at him really hard, and he must have looked at it later, and I'm not exactly sure why, but he removed some of it. So basically saying, if I came on your show, I would screw you up. So it's gone. And he left some of the more, I guess, what he would determine as reasonable posts. And some of these posts are interesting because it says here, for fuck's sake, I'll say it slowly. Listen this time. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It's Kurtzman Trek. You're cheerleading for the guys that killed Star Trek. Your support only helps them to keep killing Trek. The only hope is to drive Secret Hideout away, not reward them. Got it? Okay. This, I have noticed, is the basic and essential argument against supporting Picard Season 3. Let me give you guys some little bit of backdrop. If you don't know, we have already seen Picard Season 3. Okay? We've already seen it. Doomcock has not seen it.
Right.
Robert Meyer Burnett has seen it. All the people saying it's going to be awful have not seen it.
They're not seeing it. Yeah.
Okay? Listen, and let me tell you something. If we were in your shoes and we had not seen it, we would be saying it's probably going to suck.
Yeah.
We would be saying, I don't trust these guys.
Right.
It's going to be terrible. I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
Okay. So no begrudging anybody who's saying that they think it's going to be a pile of garbage. So what we've said is it's not a pile of garbage. It's actually fantastic Star Trek. Rob has said it's fantastic Star Trek. Now, if you watch us, you'll know that we've hated everything pretty much coming up through Star Trek up till now.
Right.
With the exception of a little bit of Strange New Worlds, which when they went into the Gorn, it started to really make me angry. So we're going to reassess Strange New Worlds.
Shane got like unreasonably angry, in my opinion, about the Gorn.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the alien ripoff. But anyways, so Picard seasons 1 and 2 were awful. Discovery seasons 1 through 10 or 12 or however many seasons they have now is absolutely terrible. I know they have 4 going on 5, but I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter.
It's awful. It's terrible.
It's all bad,
New Star Trek came out of the gates and fell on their face and gashed open their head. Okay, it's terrible.
Yeah, we made tons of videos about how terrible it was.
Yes.
Like
so
videos with hundreds of thousands of views. Like, we've been very clear that we don't like this.
Yeah. So if you have agreed with us up till now, we're not saying that we have the exact same taste that you do, but if we've all agreed up to this point, we're all on the same page.
Right.
And we come out and say, guys, we could just come out of the movie theater and we look at you and say, oh shit, this is great. And you look at me and you say, no, it's not. It can't be. Now we got a problem.
Right.
And the problem is that I have to question where you're at. So I get why Doomcock does what he does. He took a stand against New Star Trek years ago, and he's making a living off of it. That's what he does. Maybe he does believe everything he says. Fine. Okay. And he's a lot in the boat with a lot of other people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if your goal is to get new Star Trek, to want to watch good Star Trek again, then your goal should be to want new Star Trek.
Right.
If your goal is to get Alex Kurtzman fired because you're mad at him for messing up Star Trek already, then that's a different thing.
Right.
Okay. Alex Kurtzman did mess up Star Trek. All right. But we cannot continue to say we're going to hate all Star Trek, because if any Star Trek is good, then he's going to get rewarded for it. So I'm going to go more into that in a minute, but I want to just address, you have to ask yourself, do you want good Star Trek, or can we only have good Star Trek under your terms?
Right.
Do we only get good Star Trek if they do it the way you think that they need to do it? Or can we just have good Star Trek and it doesn't really matter who gets the credit? It's become personal for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, it's become a war of sorts.
It's become a war. There's a lot of angry people here in the world. Okay. And there's a lot of people pissed off about politics and social things and everything. And everybody's drawing up battle lines everywhere. Okay. And I get it. So I understand why. Well, this is an easy one. Star Trek sucks. It doesn't have to. So pick a side. Well, we're on the side where we want Star Trek to be good. But when we say, okay, hey guys, here is good Star Trek, and you say, well, I'm still not going to support it even if it's good, hold the damn phone for a second.
Yeah.
Why are we not going to support it? Okay, so the argument is we don't want Kurtzman to be there any longer, so let's have everything fail. Note to everyone, Star Trek isn't failing right now.
No, it's not.
Okay, despite us and many other people saying, screw most of this new Trek, it's still happening. It's going to keep happening because Star Trek is Picard's franchise. It's its franchise. It's his flagpole, tentpole franchise. They are dragging in so many people, including new people, okay, that don't have a good history lesson on Star Trek to watch these shows.
Right.
They're making money. So we can't wait them out. We can't starve them. We don't have enough people to surround the village.
Yeah.
Okay?
There's no waiting out bad Star Trek. You have to reward the good Star Trek. Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. So what we have to do is, if they make good Star Trek, we have to say, okay, this is good Star Trek. We want this. And we have to be loud about it. Okay, now here's the thing. Terry Matalas, who's doing Picard season 3, and I understand you don't know this because you haven't seen it yet. So, see it with your own eyes and then tell us whether you agree. What we're telling you is it's a return to Berman era Star Trek. Okay. It's good Star Trek.
Yeah,
what we've been asking
we
for,
saw
what
it.
all of us wanted.
I know the joke is we saw it allegedly. I'll tell you right now. We saw it. We saw the entire season.
We're done with allegedly because people think we're tongue in cheeking it here.
Yeah. We were trying to not get in trouble, but F it. We 100% saw it, and it's really is a return. It's like watching Star Trek The Next Generation season 8 or whatever. It's amazing.
Right. And so we need to make sure, and we're going to get to you guys' super chats here in just a second. I just want to get through this beginning dialogue, and then we'll have a discussion about it. But I think it's important that you know that Terry Matalas, okay, is a different kind of guy. He's not like all the other showrunners right now. He's a guy with Star Trek lineage. He did Voyager. I know we've talked about this many times. He did Voyager, right? He did Enterprise. He's got Star Trek chops, and he loves old Star Trek just like the rest of us do. Okay? So when he went to go make Picard season 3, all right, he was able to just go make the Star Trek he wanted to. Forget Kurtzman. Forget everybody else. I know everybody's mad at him. I get it. But Picard season 3 is not, these people waving their wand and telling Matalas what to do. This is Matalas got to make Star Trek.
Matalas got to do what he wanted to do.
And he wanted to make it for us. Now, what Doomcock said, which I thought was interesting, was he said, it doesn't matter if it's good because we don't want Secret Hideout here. We don't want Kurtzman here. if we thought that we could punish, if we could get rid of Kurtzman and Secret Hideout some way, shape, or form, we'd be first in line to do it. But here's the reality. The studio heads do not care.
Right.
They do not care. If money is being made, it doesn't matter. They are not going to fire Kurtzman as long as he's making them money. The best thing we can do is force him to make the Star Trek that we want by being vocal. Remember when everybody said, "Hey, we really like this this Anson Mount guy," right? The voices of the fans were loud. They went and made a series, Strange New Worlds. Okay.
Yeah. Literally, the moment they saw a positive outcry from the community, they responded.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'm saying is if old fans rush in and new fans and everybody loves it, then hopefully they'll let Terry make more Trek because he loves old Trek like the rest of us. Legacy Trek. Yeah. He wants to see more of the legacy flavor of Trek going forward. Okay, this is what we're telling you.
This is like training a dog, guys. If it does something bad, you need to, reprimand it. If it does something good, you give it a treat. Like, you don't go, you know what? I'm done with the dog altogether. Unless you are like this. If you just are out, that's cool. But note that you being out of the game is not going to change the game whatsoever. You're not going to starve out Paramount because it's like trying to starve out people that live in a grocery store. It ain't going to happen.
And there's no guarantee that after Kurtzman that they hire somebody who loves Star Trek.
No,
we know Kurtzman doesn't love Star Trek. We know it. He's not a Star Trek guy.
There's hiring executives. They just want to make money. Yeah.
Brian Fuller was a Star Trek guy. He got hired. Brian Fuller screwed up, so Kurtzman got the job.
Right. Epically screwed up. Epically screwed up. Everyone that's not anything. People that hang their hat on Brian Fuller. Brian Fuller had a vision. No, Brian Fuller epically screwed up. Well, he was so outside the range that they brought in someone that didn't even know anything about Trek.
Well, he wanted to focus. He didn't want to focus on Star Trek. He wanted to do a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And he was way over budget and he was way delayed and they were done with it.
Yeah.
Okay. And honestly, I don't know if you would have liked Brian Fuller's Star Trek either because he's the one who brought in Discovery. I know there's some people say it's a little different, but
go watch our video, The Untold Story.
Yeah. My point is there's no assurance that once Kurtzman goes, we're going to get a Star Trek guru because the reality is Paramount executives that's not their focus.
Right.
They want somebody who's going to come in and under budget, on price, and make stuff people are willing to buy a subscription for. That's it. They're not looking for the next big guru unless as a fan base, we're like, this is what we want. Okay. And we don't know if, what's going to happen with Terry Matalas. His star's on the rise. He's doing a bunch of other stuff. Okay. But he wants to do more Star Trek. And who knows? Maybe he gets to the place where he becomes the Star Trek guru and we have a guru of someone who's actually a Star Trek fan.
Right.
Okay. So I just want to line it up there because you not watching Star Trek Picard season 3 does not mean Alex Kurtzman goes away. What it does mean, you don't watch Picard season 3, perhaps this Terry Matalas thing was just a flash in the pan and we go back to doing other stuff. And if that's the case, and if you're like, well, shit, I already gave up on Star Trek. I don't care. I don't care if they don't make anything else. I don't care what they're going to make in the future. You are not a Star Trek fan. You are an ideologue. Okay. Star Trek fans want Star Trek to be fixed. We want more new Star Trek. Okay. That's Star Trek fans. If you're not a Star Trek fan anymore, that's fine. You can go love the old stuff. You're a fan of what happened before, what used to be, but you're an ideologue. Now it's about principle. It's not about results. The principle is more important than the results. And if the principle, let me tell you something, you can go hungry on principles. Okay. And we want to be fed. We want to be fed more Star Trek. Now we want it to be good and we're going to continue to blow them up if they're bad.
Yeah.
But now this is good.
Just to be clear, we haven't gone soft. Okay. Not at all. If it's bad, it's getting flamed. 100%. If it's bad, it's getting criticized. We will criticize. We will hit the dog when it pees on the carpet, and we will give it a treat when it shakes hands or whatever.
Right.
Like if it's bad, it deserves criticism. It'll get criticism. If it's good, it's going to get rewarded for good. This is honesty. Just be honest.
But I get it. But some people are more interested in being right than being honest. Some people are more interested in getting their way as opposed to getting maybe what they want deep down. Okay.
Right.
And so that's the problem we have here. When people are saying, I'm not going to support any Star Trek until they get rid of Alex Kurtzman, guys, Alex Kurtzman isn't really the problem. The problem is the Star Trek executives who hired Alex Kurtzman knowing that he was not a Star Trek guru. Now, who's going to fire the executives that own Star Trek? So that can make you mad. Or we can, as fans, we can say, this is the guy we want making Star Trek, and we can fight behind that.
Right.
Okay. That's what we can do. So, you know, if you don't want to watch it, we support your personal, you know, take on what you want to do.
Yeah,
I just want to say, you know, don't tell me that you want good Star Trek. And then when I tell you that there's good Star Trek coming and you tell me, well, it doesn't matter, because that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
So that's it.
Yeah. And that's what it is. It's, we're not saying, you know, you need to watch it to be a good person. No,
we don't. If you watch it or don't watch it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't care. But here's the deal. Like, if you go, I just want good Star Trek. Okay, here's good Star Trek. Oh, but wait, the people in charge of the bad Star Trek also made that. So, well hold the phone. Like, let's separate the two. Do you want good Star Trek, or are you just done? Now, if you're just done with Star Trek, okay, that's fine. Listen, I'm done with Willow. All right. I'm done with Star Wars. I'm done. Like, I can't get behind anything new. Like, for Star Wars, I have zero interest anymore. It's not even like, I'm not even like taking a stand. This is not like some kind of like, you know, thing I'm trying to stand on my box and make a statement. No, it's more like, I just don't care anymore. And if that's the case, if you're like, you just don't care anymore, and like nothing excites you about Star Trek, that's completely fine. I totally get it.
But there are so many people.
But Brian, if you're still passionate about it and you want good Star Trek, here it is.
Well, here's the problem. So now there's a bunch of people, and not everyone I understand. Now there's a bunch of people on Twitter, I guess, that say they no longer care about, they're no longer watching Star Trek, but then get mad when they get blocked by somebody like Terry Matalas when they said they were just criticizing new Star Trek. So, you know, so then they say, well, Terry needs to win us over. I'm like, well, you're already gone. You can't be won over. So you can't have it both ways.
Right.
You know, now it feels like it's more about attention than it is about, you know, do we want an end result here, or do we just want to bitch about something? What do we want?
Well, yeah, but that's, and if you ask them straight up, you go, the end result is I want Kurtzman to be hung in the town square and Paramount to sell Star Trek to a studio that appreciates it. By the way, I'm totally black-pilled on Hollywood. Ready? Yeah. I don't believe there is a single studio that actually cares about any franchise. I think that they buy and sell and they trade franchises like Pogs, 90s reference, in order to make the most amount of money, or to make a statement. And they do not care about the franchise. Now, the creative people that they hire may or may not be on board. Like Terry Matalas definitely loves Star Trek. And I'm sure there's other creators out there like Belisario obviously loves Quantum Leap. So there are people that care about the franchises they work on, but I don't think a single studio that could buy Star Trek cares about Star Trek. All they care about is green, baby. That's what they care about. So selling it is all you're doing is just trading it to another, you know, capitalist pig. And then on the other hand of that, sorry, real last thing.
No, go ahead.
On the other hand of that, firing Kurtzman isn't going to change anything. Unless, no, they're just not. Like, if Kurtzman's contract is up, like, when you see those videos, like, Kurtzman contract is up next year. All right, cool. So let's say Kurtzman's out. As he goes to Disney and starts making She-Hulk or whatever, right? They bring in another guy, and they assign, now Akiva Goldsman's in charge of Star Trek. Okay. He's not making it, though. He's just the guy in charge of that portion of the studio.
Well, and you got to remember, too, that, like, if you think that Kurtzman by himself is, like, green lighting and saying, you know, I know they said he's in charge of Star Trek. I know for certain that it's not just Kurtzman that has to approve things. It's studio heads who also have to agree on ideas and things being done because of budgeting things. So it's not just Kurtzman. There's more people involved. They're above it. And frankly speaking, none of them are classic Star Trek fans.
Right.
And until you get somebody in there that's a classic Star Trek fan, you're not going to make Star Trek like it was made before. This is like the best we've got.
Right.
Let's go into some super chats here real quick. John Burns, $2.79. Picard season 2 did much to kill Star Trek. You are so right, John. And everybody who is sick and tired and over Star Trek right now because of Picard season 2, you are right.
Yeah.
Like you are right to feel the way that you feel because they pulled the wool over our face on that one.
I still think Picard season 1 was a worse season of Picard, but I think the most offensive thing about Picard season 2 is that up until like the last episode, we felt like it could be written out of the corner it was painted into.
Well, and the worst thing about Picard season 2 was that there was sort of this underlying promise that don't worry, Picard season 2 is going to be better than season 1. Right. There was this underlying thing that had people they had hope,
and it started off that way.
It did.
And there were like glimmers of hope, and there was some good things about it, and then literally up until the last episode, you're like, well, they can definitely pull up out of this barrel roll into the ground, and it could be all one big giant trick that can just amaze us. It was not the case.
Right. John Burns, $2.79 super chat. Brian, was Dark Matter good Star Trek?
Yeah, it was.
That was actually a really good show. Orville Nation, $5. Most everyone doesn't understand there is a window of opportunity for Terry to take over Trek if he proves himself with Picard season 3. Thank you, PJ. That is such an excellent point. He's right. So for any of you guys who are kind of thinking the way we think, we want more good Star Trek, okay, then this is the way.
Yeah.
If you watch Picard season 3 and you fall in love with it and you're like, yes, this is great, let's do more of this, then we have to push that, okay, because the studio is going to need some sort of feedback. If you've noticed, there really hasn't been an announcement for a replacement show for Picard yet.
Right.
This is the end of Picard. Okay, one way or the other, this is it. Picard season 3 will be the end of the show named Picard. Something else will take its place, but it hasn't been announced yet.
Right.
Depending on how things go, I think will depend on what the next show is we get, whether or not we move forward in this time frame, whether or not we end up with a Starfleet Academy show, whether or not Section 31 actually happens. All these things are still out there, but PJ's right. Now is the time. So the reason we're so excited about it, okay, the reason why we're here doing this right now, the only reason, and I hope you guys understand, we're not attacking Doomcock. We're not attacking anybody who's pissed off about Star Trek. We understand. What we're trying to do is get into this narrow window of opportunity to have some sort of a positive reflection on what we want as longtime fans. TOS, guys. TOS, all the way back.
And to be fair, we've been those guys. If you've been watching us, there are so many episodes. There are Prime videos. There are Unleashed episodes where we are just constantly complaining about this stuff. We've gone on other people's shows criticizing it. Like
yeah. I mean, you know. And now, granted, we are the ones. We are the ones who are like, hey, we still want good Star Trek.
Sure.
So we haven't quit on Star Trek. I guess is the way to put it. And maybe that's the difference between us and some of the other YouTubers out there. We just haven't quit on it yet. Okay.
Why would it be?
It's just not the way.
That's the question, though. Like, why, at what point do you quit? I asked myself the other day, like, why am I over Star Wars? Because I haven't gotten anything new or interesting, reasonably interesting, since I was 10 years old. That's why.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, I got to tell you, Picard season 3 has really changed things for me. But at the end of Strange New Worlds, I started to lose hope. I started to feel hopeless about Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh God, am I never going to get what I miss about Star Trek?
Yeah.
And then
Strange New Worlds was sort of like vanilla ice cream. Like, it wasn't bad. It was just sort of like,
there were things missing,
it felt like a giant filler episode of Star Trek.
Kind of. Yeah. It was like better than all the other stuff, but still not great, not what we were looking for. And then Picard season 3 shows, and we're like, oh my god, it happened. Like I really didn't see it coming. And so that's kind of why we're out here, because we want more of it.
I remember after we saw it, Shay and I were in the car, heading back to our studio here, and I remember going like, dude, I don't know how you feel about this, but that was outstanding. And he's like, yeah. And we were silent for like 15 minutes.
I had an emotional response to it.
Yeah, we had an emotional response. Right.
Ask me the last time I had an emotional response to something Star Trek related.
Yeah.
It goes way back.
Yeah, for me, it was since Voyager. That episode Voyager. Where Kim dies.
Yeah, probably Voyager was the last time I really was emotional over what happened. Okay, $5 super chat from Insane Hippie Insane. Trust once lost is nearly impossible to regain it. Kurtzman and others cost the network by ignoring their 80 to 20 of business. Insane Hippie, I cannot agree with you more. When you have lost people's trust, it's just, dang it. It's like, it's done. I get that. And so it's hard. I mean, we're here in the face of a wall of disappointed people, and we're saying, trust us, right? That's what we're doing. We're saying, trust us. It's good. And that's so hard to do. You don't hang out at my house. I mean, you come on the show with me and Brian, and you like us, and we think we're okay, and we're all kind of buddies.
But you trust us when we're complaining about it.
Maybe they do. Maybe it's just confirming what they already know. Okay. And here's an instance where it can't be confirmed. You can't confirm it yet. We have to wait until February 16th to do it. So listen, I understand if you're skeptical. I understand. Right. And maybe what we tell you gives you a little hope. What we're talking about here today isn't that you shouldn't be pissed off at Star Trek. What we're saying is, are you an ideologue, or do you want more Star Trek? So are you done and now you just want to say screw Star Trek forever, or do you want good new Star Trek? So I guess depending on which side of the aisle you're on, we're on the aisle where we want more good Star Trek. If you're on the aisle where you're like, screw it, I'm done. Now I just want to complain about it. I mean, that's fine too. You can be on whatever side you want to be on, but the problem is like, that's not my side. Like, I want more Star Trek. So you're fighting against what I want. You don't want good new Star Trek. Okay. I want good new Star Trek. So now there's a wall between us in that sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and I don't know, you tell us what will get you to want new Star Trek. If they fire Kurtzman and they hire, I don't know, somebody else to do it, Akiva Goldsman, are you going to come back? Like, does that change your mind? What if Akiva Goldsman comes back and he makes crappy Star Trek still? Now, do we say get rid of Akiva Goldsman until somebody else? I mean, what point do we just say screw who's in charge, just make good Star Trek? At what point is that the answer? If you still love Star Trek?
Yeah, but so on that note, real quick, let's pretend, right? Let's pretend Paramount sold Star Trek the franchise to Universal, and Universal assigned it to Jerry Matalas.
Okay.
And that's it. And that's what Picard season 3 is.
And he got free reign to do whatever he wanted.
And said you could do whatever you want. Is that is that the same argument? Or like, are you still done? Are you still done with it? Are you still like mad about it? Or are you going to give it a shot? Or are you going to see if it's good? Like, I'm gonna check it out, see if it's good. Well, if that's the question, that's pretty much what happened. Yeah, Paramount still owns it, but like Terry Matalas got to do whatever he wants. And like the people that talk about like how it has to be 20% different or whatever because the Paramount CBS merger, that whole thing, it's not 20% different.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. They're all on the same team now.
Right, they're all on the same team, and this season, if they did have to use that rule before, and if they had to make their episodes and seasons based on that rule, that's clearly not the case for this season.
Right. John Burns super chat. Picard season 2 was so bad even liberals hated it. That show, it wasn't bad because it was woke. It was bad because it was horribly written.
Bad writing. Yeah.
Terribly, horribly written. And let me tell you, there's nothing worse. The next thing worse, well, it's just as bad. When something's like terribly woke, that's bad. But also, if it's written poorly, oh my God, like Willow was just horribly written. Terrible, terrible show.
Yeah.
And remember, we went into Willow trying to be positive about it, and we ended up being crap.
Yeah, I mean, but Willow is also has woke elements. It's like there's wokeness and it's bad writing, and it like sort of defiles like the whole franchise. It's just, you know what's funny is I read an article earlier today about Willow and one of the main characters, the actress that plays the character, and I saw the picture of her like in the real world, and I was like, oh yeah, makes sense. It wasn't like she went out of her way to be as like just woke as possible, and the whole article, the whole thing made sense. Like this is why this show is like, it's just not going to work, because you have people on here that do not care about the existing franchise. They don't care about the story or the characters, and you want them to play the daughter of one of those characters, and they literally don't care. In fact, not only do they not care, they're actively against those characters because they were toxic males. And you're like, okay, you asking this person to play the daughter of a character that she actively hates.
Yeah.
Well, how do you expect this person to actually treat the franchise well? Not going to happen.
Not going to work. Not going to work. John Burns super chat. Is Kurtzman the Walking Dead Kurtzman? Kurtzman currently has a deal going to at least 2026. Somebody was saying that there's like inside rumors. No. Somebody was saying that there are rumors going around that he's being fired in April, but like I've never heard anything like that. I don't know why they would fire him in April. Paramount's not losing any money because of Star Trek, but I mean, gosh, I don't know if that would be a bad thing. As long as they keep Terry Matalas on.
Yeah, I do not care. Yeah, if they want to let go of Kurtzman, great. Get him out of there. It's cool. Just please, like this is the worst thing that can happen for me, is that we all love season 3 of Picard, and the studio decides not to go with Terry Matalas because it's too expensive, or because they can't fit a schedule, and they just go right back to their old ways, and they hire people based on checkboxes to run, entire seasons of some show set before the last show, and it's a prequel, and it's ran by the very first, Peruvian woman of color or whatever, and you're like, right. What is happening? What we had something good. Like, we have something good here. Like, I really, really want to continue with what we have, right? Like, with what we saw. And when you guys see it, you understand how like apprehensive because like, if it's not successful to the studio for whatever reason, then they're just going to slip right back into what was making them money. Because look, New Trek is making them money. As much as we hate it, it is.
And partly it's because streaming, and it's a mirage. Streaming is making them money. Streaming is new. Right. Everybody is still going from cable to streaming. And so they're constantly adding subscribers. We don't know how much of it has to do with Trek or not, but for the next couple of years, it's going to continue until most people are off of cable and they're on to streaming, and they're just going to keep adding subscribers. It's everybody's successful right now with the streaming service. Yeah. So that's why they're, he's going to be here probably for a couple of years regardless, until they start seeing some drastic numbers change. I want to address real quick David Nunya's chat here, because I think this is really important. He said here, don't tell me if I am a Star Trek fan. I am not going to tell you whether or not you love Star Trek or not. My whole point in that statement was, if you love old Star Trek and you care more now about whether or not Alex Kurtzman gets fired than you care about enjoying new good Star Trek going forward, then you have to ask yourself if you're a Star Trek fan. I mean, going forward, at least, maybe looking back when you go turn on TNG. I heard some people say they can't even watch TNG now. Some people are saying they cannot watch
I saw a
TNG.
tweet. I can't even watch TNG. So because they hate the actors or
No,
whatever.
they hate the actor and they hate Alex Kurtzman.
Right. I don't know.
It's weird. Like you can't listen. I know we live in a day and age where we hate everyone who is not on our side.
Right.
But let me ask you a question. If you have a president, let's say, that you hate, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, and that president does something right, beneficial, the correct thing, like to change things for you in some way, shape, or form, you're telling me that you're going to say, no, I don't want you to do that because I hate you. You have to ask yourself that question.
Right.
If Kurtzman is allowing Matalas to go make good Star Trek, do we say, no, because I hate you, Kurtzman. I don't want that.
Yeah. Remember those people on TikTok that were burning their stimulus check because Trump set it up or whatever?
It's like stupidity.
They get his check in the mail. They're like, dude, this is the stimulus Trump sent out. I'm not accepting anything from him. And they burn it on. And you're like, oh, okay.
I bet it was another piece of paper. Ain't nobody burning that money. It's funny. So I just want to say, look, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I don't want you guys to be offended. If you don't want to watch Star Trek, that's fine. I'm just saying, if you're an ideologue, if you only care about the idea of something and there's no means to the end, I'm just not sure why you're even talking about Star Trek anymore. Well,
maybe they're like, you know what? I like everything before this and I'm done and I'm not going to watch. Maybe that's how they're a fan. Like they're a fan of before Kurtzman, before Bad Robot. And
sure.
They're not a fan of anything after Bad Robot, period, the end. And so maybe there's more nuance to that. So maybe we can separate those people and they're just not going to do anything past Bad Robot.
Well, it just frustrates me because I'll tell you what's frustrating is when these are the people that say Picard season 3 is not going to be good, right? They're fighting a war. Well, you've already given up on Star Trek. What is it you're fighting for?
Right.
If you're fighting for Kurtzman to be fired, there's another Kurtzman waiting in the wings.
Right, yeah. There's another Kurtzman right around the corner. Like, if he gets fired, another guy's going to take his place that also doesn't care.
That probably also doesn't give a shit about Star Trek because the people in charge don't care. When we find somebody who cares, like Terry Matalas, okay? And when you see in February, don't believe us now if you don't want to, that's fine. When you see in February, you're like, oh God, this guy knows good Star Trek. Yes, he's the guy who's got to make good Star Trek. For those of you guys calling for Ira, who did Deep Space Nine, a lot of people saying bring him back. Well, guess what? When he was doing Deep Space Nine, he wanted to do it completely different than classic Trek.
Right.
He didn't want to have nothing to do with Berman and Berman era Star Trek.
If Berman had not been holding Ira back,
yes,
it would have been Discovery. It would have been a season of Discovery set on a space station.
100% true.
You guys think I'm wrong? Go watch the doc. Go watch the doc, What We Left Behind. And let me tell you something. This guy, had it not been for an equal rep, it was an equal rep of both the right side and the left side of Star Trek working together, even if they were frustratingly working together, right? Berman didn't like Ira, and Ira didn't like Berman. But they had to work together to make that show. The reason that show is so good and so well-rounded is because you had both sides of this argument fighting to make sure their elements were in there. If it was 100% Ira, it would have been Discovery.
It would have been Discovery, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you guys like that show. So that's why we all love DS9. It's because it was held back in some moments and it was allowed to go forward in others.
Right.
And that made it good. But if you brought him in now, it would just be more Discovery, maybe not quite as harsh or maybe not as hard as, but it still would be like that. So we're just trying to say like, there's not a lot of people out there who can come back to Trek, run it, who are willing to, like Terry Matalas. And I get that some of you guys are mad at him because he's blocking you on.
Yeah.
On
I mean, let's address
that.
I guess. So we haven't experienced this personally. But if he's a dick on social media, I'm sorry that that's that way. We're not we are also not we're not reviewing Terry Matalas and saying Terry Matalas is an awesome person. You should give no. We don't know him personally like that, but from our interactions with him have all been positive, and what he made is outstanding.
And I think what you guys got to understand, yeah, Brian's 100% right. And what you got to understand is that what's happening is there's a war, another war, a war of Hollywood people against the trolls on social media. There's like this war, and the battle lines have been drawn. And so what's happening is a lot of people who come in hard and hot at him, they end up getting blocked, and they just got to a point where most of the Hollywood creatives are kind of like, you know what, we're just going to block anybody who comes at us negative. So you may come and say something that you don't think is really that bad, but in their mind, they've got this, they're already just blocking everything that's negative. So it's not really a personal thing. Although I know it feels personal to some people.
You're literally wearing Terry Trick hats. Yes. Because we like what he made, guys.
We want, and we want more, guys.
Yeah, we're not simping for Terry Metalis as a person. We're simping for him as a creative, because what we saw was so good. We're like, oh my God, this is what I remember from when I was 17 watching TNG. Can I have more, please, sir? So, we're sipping for him as a creative, not as a person. Again, we do not know the man, like, personally like that. Like, we don't go to Thanksgiving dinners with Terry Metalis. We know.
Right. We want, like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say like the rest of you, because that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
But we don't want Kurtzman Trek. We don't want Goldsman Trek. We don't want Ira Stephen Bayer Trek. Okay, we want Terry Trek. We want Terry Metalis Star Trek, because we've seen what it looks like, and it's awesome. So when you guys get to see it in February, don't believe us now. Go watch it in February. If you don't love it, then I don't know. Maybe we don't have the same taste in Star Trek. We've had the same taste up till now, so I'm not exactly sure why it wouldn't be the case. Now,
this is a good point. We also have Seth Trek. We have Seth Trek shirts.
Yeah,
and we've worn on the show, and we don't. At least I don't agree with most of what Seth MacFarlane says on Twitter.
Right.
But I like what he made.
Yes,
I like the Orville.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like Family Guy. I like the things he made. I like him as a creative. Do I think he's a good person? I don't know.
Well, the difference between Seth and Terry is that Seth doesn't engage anybody on Twitter.
Right.
So nobody gets a chance to find out what that engagement's like. Terry is engaging people. So it's, your experience may be more positive or negative.
Well, but
Orville Nation, $5 super.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay. But to be fair, you're right. Like, we're not simping for the person as a person, or their ideals or values or what they believe in. We don't care about that. We only care about what they made. And what Seth MacFarlane made, we loved. And what Terry made, we loved. That's it.
Right. And whether you agree or disagree with anything else about what they do, the work is good. And that's what we care about mostly. And we should be kind to people anyways, regardless. $5 super chat from Orville Nation. Oh my God, Guinan's Bar 10 Forward in California. What were they thinking? Yeah, dude, that was awful.
That was awful.
I hated every second of that.
Dude, it was so funny.
So bad.
Well, I read, so initially when I saw it, like, it was on the corner of like 10th Street or whatever, I'm like, oh, that's clever, because that can just be a coincidence. But then when I saw the bar was named 10 Forward, I was like, oh, come on.
I really, it was so on the nose. I just hated every second of it.
They should have just kept it at the corner of 10th and, 4 Ward Avenue or something.
But you can't, because it's actually, I hate this. The name of the bar is a position on the ship.
I know. It's a section of the ship. I get it. But if it would have been tongue in cheek to have it on 10th Avenue, whatever. That's what I'm saying. Well, like, they could have been clever with it.
If it's in history, Brian, what I'm saying is, in the past, if it exists, okay, they don't know where they're even going to put it until the future.
No, I know. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that as a little Easter egg, it could have been on the 10th. It could have been on the corner of 10th and 4th Street or something.
Oh, like a bar.
Right. And a random bar on the 10th of 4th on the corner of 10th and 4th Street.
That'd have been cute.
It would have been cute. It wouldn't have been canon. But like, when you actually named it 10-4, I'm like, wow, come on.
Yeah, it was pointless, but yeah, I get it. Cute. Okay, Easter egg, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Silly. Sometimes there's Easter eggs. Like in Spider-Man, when he's driving a car and the license plate happens to be the very first, issue number of the, issue he was introduced in the comics or whatever. That stuff it's fun. It's cute.
Yeah, but it does make them a little bit of a. It does cause a problem though. If you can canonically say that her bar existed on 10 forward, and then in the future the bar actually exists on the ship at the 10 forward location on the ship, it just makes it kind of weird. Like, did she get to decide where the bar was going to go? Where 10 forward was going to, where the
but that could be
recreation room was
explained
gonna-
as a coincidence. The bar being named 10 forward can't.
I would say you're more right, but I still think it would be like
Right. Yes.
changing canon.
It would be it'd be cheeky. Yeah.
And we all know how much they've destroyed canon over the years.
Oh yeah,
these
they've
recent years.
wrecked it.
John Burns super chat 279. We put up with bad Star Trek when Shatner directed.
It's true. As much as I love William Shatner, like he's literally my spirit animal. I don't think he's a very good director.
Well, he's a better actor than anything.
Yeah. So I love Boston Legal. You guys don't know this, but I love Boston Legal. And there are episodes that are directed by Shatner where half the episode, and this is fact, it's not hyperbole, half the episode is him and James Spader on a balcony talking. It's like
an interesting conversation.
It's interesting, but it was almost like he's like, you know what? I think what I want to do for this, I want to shoot this scene, set it up, and then Alan and Denny Crane can just, recap and like sort of explain the rest of it via exposition with cigars and whiskey. And like, he just wanted to sit down and relax. So he directed himself sitting down and relaxing for the majority of the episode.
Well, I'll tell you, The Final Frontier, which he directed, the movie he directed for Star Trek, is like a guilty pleasure of mine.
I still have a ton of those discs I gotta send out to you guys. I'm sorry.
The row your boats, the climbing the I know I'm not going to die because I'm not alone. All that stuff hits me in the heart. So I didn't mind that so much.
The second star on the left. What does it say? Second star to the right.
And on till morning.
Straight on till morning. Yeah, that is a great line. And then you go, is that from Peter Pan? It is from Peter Pan. It is. Okay.
Well, it's okay too.
Yeah, it's fine.
But you're right. That was not the best Star Trek movie. John Burns super chat, buying Dixie Chick CDs to destroy stimulus. That's right.
True. That was a thing too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were, yeah, you're right. They were, people were buying. And by the way, I saw people like when Kanye West was being Kanye West, like, come on guys, he's been nuts for like 8 years. I'm not sure why everyone's freaking out about it now, but when Kanye West was being Kanye West, he was at peak Kanye West talking about doing anti-Semitic stuff. People were like burning their $200 Yeezys, like the shoes. You're like, hey guys, Kanye's not in pain. You already bought the shoes.
Yeah.
In no way does that affect Kanye or Adidas.
It's like it's just a demonstration. It's like, when they burned Bee Gees albums back in the early 80s because they were tired of disco music, Insane hippie insane $10 super chat. Thank you so much for that super chat. I am not angry, disappointed, or mad at Star Trek or the people running it anymore, and that is bad because I know that means I no longer care at all. I have been driven to near total apathy. Oh my God, I get that feeling.
Yeah, that's how I feel about that's how I feel about Star Wars.
Yes, I get that feeling about a lot of superhero movies as well. And I get that feeling about new Star Trek. So I get it.
Sometimes he gets that feeling when I've been on the phone for too long with him. And I can hear it in his voice.
I mean, it's easier to be disappointed when you've seen the best of things. And as we get older, I think that happens more frequently. But, being apathetic about Star Trek up till now I totally get it. And here's the thing. Picard season 3 is great. But I can't even be excited about future Star Trek because I don't know if Terry's going to get to make new Star Trek.
Yeah, we don't know.
So we don't know. So I'm like guarded in my feelings. Right now, I just want to be all in the moment on Picard season 3 so we can give as much push to that as possible. So possibly we can get. All I can say, Insane Hippie, is I hope that if you do end up watching on February 16th when it comes out and you watch it, I hope that you get that apathy feeling goes away at least for 10 episodes. So
yeah, and then come and hang out with us. Like that,
yeah, we'll talk about it here.
That I think that's a thing though too. Like, listen, when I was younger, and still now sometimes, to be fair, I mean, we have an actual channel called Raw Rant. We like to complain about stuff.
Oh yeah.
And we like to hear other people complain about stuff, especially when it's done in an entertaining way, It's great. When I was younger though, I really enjoyed a guy named Adam Carolla. He was on Loveline, he did the Man Show, he had a show. He literally struck the chains off of terrestrial radio and said, I'm just going to start my own podcast before anyone else was doing it, even before Rogan. And the guy was the #1 podcast in the world for a long time. And Adam Carolla is a guy who's a comedian who just sort of complains about everything. And 99% of what he says, I believe in. I'm like, yeah, this guy, you're right. The state sucks and government's bad and blah, 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 right? But I realized the other day when I booted up Adam Carolla, when I was working, I was on my 15th hour of work on a 12 days straight work week during Christmas, and I had nothing to listen to in December. So I booted up the old Adam Carolla app, and I booted up Adam Carolla, and I went to his latest episode. You could have taken the latest episode and superimposed it with an episode from 13 years ago, and very little of it was different. He was still sort of complaining about the same stuff, whether that had changed or whether or that didn't matter. I realized right then that this guy's sort of bread and butter is this anger, is this complaint. And sometimes there's a place for it. There's a place for ranting and complaining and preaching, 100%. Sometimes there's a place to enjoy something and to compliment it and to celebrate it. And I believe that when and if we watch Picard season 3 all together in February, I believe we're going to be here celebrating it after the show and not criticizing it, because our opinions have to change when the data changes.
Right,
we have to evolve our opinions as information is changing in front of us. It has to be.
Brian's so right.
Evolution, man.
He's so right, guys. And here's the thing: is we could have been, we could have had channels like Doomcock or Nerdrotic or one of these other channels where it's the focus is on the rage, the focus is on the frustration and the anger, and it probably would have been really successful because that's kind of where everybody's mind was on a lot of things. Hell, we watch their channels, so we get it. Yeah. But we know in our hearts that when things are good, we have to say they're good. We just won't feel good about ourselves. We could have went and made a whole bunch of money locked into the angry chat, the angry chanting with everybody else, but we just can't have conversations if we don't believe it.
Yeah, and to be fair, you do get less views when you do a review of a movie and you're like, this movie's awesome.
Right. You don't.
It's like an hour of you being like, this movie's great. This is why I liked it. This was great. This actor's great. This person's great. This is great, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, I loved everything about this movie. And like, it's like, oh, okay. Well, that's a hot take, bro. Sarcasm. The same exact flip side of that is when we're like, yo, this is bad. This is stupid. Flaming it, making fun of it. That gets a lot more views because it's more entertaining. It is more entertaining, bro. It is. And you know what? You want an example of that? Go look at our DC channel where we have our review of Black Adam up against our complaints of the same property. Right. One has 5,000 views and one has 300 views. What's the difference? Well,
the tone.
The tone's
the difference.
Right.
The tone. $2 super chat from Hiroshi the dog. Thank you for the support, Hiroshi. Go Terry. Yes. Go Terry. Keep making good Trek, please. I just really hope that after this season's done or in the middle somewhere, you get pulled aside. Terry Matalas gets pulled aside and says, okay, listen, we need you to make the next series as well. That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah. And
John Burns.
And if I had my way, Mr. Matalas, if you ever see this, please do the Temporal Wars. But please.
I don't want that.
Bring back Scott Bakula for one more ride and give me the Temporal Wars. It's going to take place right after the Picard timeline anyways.
Not right after. No.
100 years after, right?
No, it's I think it's more than that. Almost a couple hundred years.
Okay,
I'm not ready to go that far.
You can finish Enterprise.
I mean, finishing Enterprise would be cool. Like going back and like doing Enterprise, finishing it would be fantastic.
I don't know, but you can do that.
I don't know if they're going to let him do that.
You can do that with Temporal Wars.
I don't want to deal with time travel
Hey,
anymore.
you hate
I'm
time
over
travel.
it.
Yeah, but Terry does time travel right. That's all I'm saying. Like 12 months.
I get that, but let's just stay away from it for a while.
Okay.
John Burns super chat $2.79. Dark Matter Trek, Star Wars Trek, Peanuts Trek ? And we'll go with this next one. His also $2.79 super chat. Pigs in Space Trek, Sesame Street Trek, Damar Trek. John, I think we know what you're talking about here. Everything Star Trek. Let's go. Orville Nation, $5 super chat. Would you guys say there is some subtle retconning of elements of seasons 1 and 2? You know what I love about PJ?
Yeah.
He asks questions to get us back on track.
Yeah.
Like he's always like moving us to get us back to the spot.
We always get off on tangents and then and PJ will like throw in a question that throws us back onto the
puts us back in the spot.
Yeah.
This is why he's good when he's
You're
like
a good producer, PJ.
Yes, good producer, good host. Yes, there are definitely subtle retconning elements of seasons 1 and 2. Most notably, the ignoring of things that really we don't like.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Or the light comment and move forward about things.
Yeah, so check us out. People that go, but Terry Matalas also made Picard season 2. And you're like, okay, listen, stop, full stop. His name, yes, go Wikipedia. His name is on season 2. But it is public knowledge that he had very little to do with season 2 because they were shooting season 2 and season 3 at the same time.
Well, and they had already fleshed the story together before we ever got there.
Right.
So it was already the where it was going was already determined before he came on board.
Right.
By Michael Chabon and Akiva Goldsman.
So he was fully focused on season 3. And what was the other guy's name? Chabon?
Akiva Goldsman.
Or Akiva Goldsman was doing season 2.
Right.
And you go, okay, if that's the case, right? Then him simply ignoring things from season 1 and season 2 is a sort of a subtle retcon because he just doesn't even recognize it as a thing.
Well, what are the big things that make people mad? Okay, 7 of 9 changing her sexual preference, perhaps, and also Picard being an android. Both of those things, guys, were from season 1. You can thank Michael Chabon for those wonderful things. They're awful. Absolutely not within canon. Doesn't make sense. You cannot make 7 of 9 gay when Chakotay has not been resolved.
Right.
You know, and now we know more about Chakotay because of Prodigy, but we'll talk about that later. But also, when they came in and they decided to do all this stuff.
And when they made him a robot, that was like offensive. It was offensively bad when they made him an android. But
nothing changed. So they made him a robot that's the exact same age he is. He's going to die the same time he would have died. The only difference is his illness is gone. His disease is gone.
Right. He doesn't even have any like powers.
Right.
Like consider in season 2, he was hurt and responded the way a hurt human being would respond.
Yes. And like he's emotionally distraught. I mean, all the things that
he fainted like an old man would faint.
Right. So it's like, let me tell you something. Season 2 already retconned that shit from season 1, guys.
Right. Just by ignoring it. Right.
Season 2 kind of retconned that. So in season 3, just listen, season 3, leave the baggage at the door. Come on in, because season 3 is a standalone show. Mm-hmm. Technically, all 3 seasons were supposed to be standalone shows. But season 3 is standalone. It's more of a TNG completion story. It's not really so much about anything that's happened before.
And the only reason 7 and Raffi are even part of season 3 is because they had contracts that predated Terry Matalas to be part of season 3. And even if they didn't have contracts, Terry Matalas was 100% bringing 7 back.
And by the way, they're great.
Yeah, they're great.
You may have hated them in season 2, or at least Michelle Hurd.
She's not good, Michelle Hurd. 3. But she's great. I can't believe this. I'm full 180. When I watched season 3, I was like, oh, she's actually good.
Yeah. See what happens when See what happens when the right person does it?
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, now you got somebody who loves Star Trek, and now all of a sudden this character we hated now has meaning and purpose and is great in Star Trek.
Yeah, I actually feel bad because like I criticized the actress so much in Picard 1 and 2. Because it's very difficult to separate the actress from the writing, you know? You don't know how much of it's the writing, how much of the So I was criticizing her and her abilities and not the writings most of the time. Because they're like, oh, she's overacting, it's over emotional, blah, blah. And then I saw her in another show where she was actually really good. And then we saw her in Picard season 3, and all those overacting elements and everything they're gone. Like, it's almost as if the writing and the direction were better, and she is a product of those two things. And
yeah, and also Jerry Ryan, same thing. Like you got to admit, she was pretty much a disappointment in season 2. She was there, but didn't really do anything.
Yeah, she was like a fixture. She was like a lamp.
You know, yeah, in season 1, we got a little bit of, Borg action and some stuff going on. But season 3, I mean, it's like...
I'm sorry. Season 1, though, that moment where she turned into the Borg was actually sick.
That was cool. That was a great moment. That was like the only great moment of the entire...
Yeah, you're right. That was like a good thing.
That was it. That was the moment of the whole season. But, well, guess what? In season 3, she's back, and you really enjoy this, Seven's character has actually grown.
Right.
And we see different things, and it's actually really fantastic. So... another super chat here from John Burns. Boston Legal episode. Crane had the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, the actual Stanley Cup. They had the actual Stanley Cup in that episode. Not a recreation, not a recreation. The real Stanley Cup, because William Shatner was like, well, we can't do it without the real one. Like, well, we can make a prop. He goes, I won't do it without the real cup. They spent half their budget renting the Stanley Cup for a month.
That's awesome.
It's such a William Shatner thing to do.
That's why nobody wants to work with him.
Right?
Wait, John Burns, 279. The movie Soylent Green was set in the year 2022. Oh my gosh. Thank you, John. That is wonderful. Soylent Green is people. If you have never seen Soylent Green and you love science fiction, Charlton Heston, go back and watch that damn movie today. It is so fantastic. And I just ruined it for you, but okay.
Oh, you did just ruin it. Why would you do that?
I did. I'm sorry.
The new Soylent Green would be like crickets, because like I don't know for some reason everyone is trying to get me to eat bugs everywhere I go. Dude, I was at Smart and Final, and I'm looking down the health aisle. I'm trying to get healthy. I'm looking for protein bars, and I see these protein bars where it's like 1 net carb and 50 grams of protein. I was like, oh, that's great. All right, it's good, affordable, cool. And I threw a couple in my cart. And I'm at the checkout, and the guy's like, oh, these cricket bars are popular. And I'm like, cricket bars? Goes, yeah, look. And it's like protein bars made with crickets.
Lots of protein, bro.
Okay, so here's the deal. Everywhere I'm going, I'm seeing like propaganda for me to eat bug-based protein. I don't get it. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but what the hell is up with the bug thing this year?
Well, you're looking for it. You're looking, and that's what the hot thing is.
You're right. I guess now that I've recognized it, now I'm like actively looking for it. But
now
everywhere
you're
I go,
seeing it, yeah.
I'm seeing ads on Amazon. Buy this bug-based protein.
Well, you said it one time. Now it's on your phone. You know how it is.
And now that I just say it here, every YouTube video I'm going to see is going to be about eating bugs. I guarantee it.
Yeah, for sure. Super chat, Matthew Stevenson. Thank you, Matthew, for the super chat. New Trek has done so much damage to Trek. It's hard to accept anything from Bad Robot. I mean, they killed Picard, made him a robot. Hard to care about this character. Also feel Q would have stopped this. So this is a really great point. Bad Robot is we don't want them to touch anything either. There's rumor right now.
Bad reboot.
Yeah, bad reboot. There's rumor right now that they're taking on the Stargate movie that Amazon is supposedly making.
No!
And it just, no! It's a terrible, terrible thought. We do not, no, absolutely not. JJ is not in his right mind these days.
Then what do you mean? These days? Go back to Lost. Most days. Like everyone that thought JJ Abrams was like this excellent producer, I have this feeling that he just sort of hid behind other creatives and just tried to drum up as much money and as much time and as much fan support as possible. I don't think he was ever been like an excellent creative.
Well, Lost was a cultural phenomenon at the time. It was the most talked about thing happening. And so that is how he got his name, and he just went on to produce, make, and he made money in everything he did. But his lack of care with these IPs have caught up with him.
Yeah, real quick. This is if you probably didn't watch our latest video because it was removed. We're updating it. But had you watched it, when we reported on that moment when it was said Bad Robot was going to be doing Stargate, this is what I put in here.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
So Matthew, we're on the same page.
That's
we're on the
exactly
same
how I
page.
felt. Yeah.
Now, I just want to reiterate that we need to stop looking at this as supporting Kurtzman. I know that's hard for people to do because he's the name that's been put in there. Okay, I think we should stop looking at it as supporting Kurtzman, and we should look at this as probably the only opportunity we may ever have to indicate what type of Star Trek we want. Because this Terry Matalas thing, if it doesn't go through and we don't get more, it might be a flash in the pan. If people don't come and get excited about it and get loud, and if this doesn't become the best Star Trek has made since Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, if this season doesn't get the message, doesn't get the love, right, then the executives who want more money, right, aren't going to listen. And they'll just move on to the next showrunner.
Because it's just about making money.
Right.
The studio,
for them it is.
Yeah, it's just about green, maybe. That's all they care about. They're like,
we care about good Star Trek. They care about making money. Let's make it win-win.
They're pimps on the street, and they're throwing their hose out to the corners. And if the hose ain't gonna perform, they're gonna swap her out for another hose for another corner.
Yeah, you hear that, Terry? Terry, you're a hoe.
Terry,
that's what Brian's saying.
Terry's our favorite hoe right now. And here's the deal. If it doesn't perform and if it's not successful monetarily, then they're just going to go with the next option, because all they need to do is keep Star Trek going. They don't need it to be good. If it's good, it's bonus, we made extra. But they don't actually have to continue. They don't actually have to make good Star Trek. They just have to continue making Star Trek.
Yeah, that's their goal, is to keep it going 100%.
Right.
About your feeling that Q would have stopped this, it's a really good point. The reason we all love Q is because, he's just a wonderful character. Part of the only thing about season 2 that I loved was the fact that there was an emotional moment between him and Picard. So we understand exactly what you're talking about. But thank you for that super chat, Matthew. John Burns, super chat 279. Adam Carolla dropped his news person and producer.
Wait, he dropped Bald Brian? Is that real, John? Let me know. That's crazy, because Bald Brian has cancer.
Oh, that's a bummer. I mean, yeah, it's a bummer. And also, super chat from John Burns. Everyone likes a little bit of Borg on Borg.
Yeah.
But we don't want a Borg series, so make sure that doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, John, for the super chat.
Everyone loves a little Borg on Borg action.
Did we talk about everything we want to talk about in this?
I think we did, and this might be the longest weekly Terry of all time at an hour and 35 minutes. So,
yeah. So hopefully you guys understand where we're coming from. Hopefully you're, if you're offended by what I said, then I'm sorry. We want new Star Trek. If you don't, we just have to agree to disagree. That doesn't mean we still can't be friends. Can't still love TNG and TOS and everything.
Can I argue that that's the point of this whole thing?
Sure.
Once again, we don't have to agree on everything to enjoy each other's company and to be friends. Perfect example, Jeremy Snyder has been here for a very long time, watching us since the very beginning. He's been supporting us since the very beginning, Jeremy, my boy, Jer Bear. I know for a fact we don't agree on everything politically, but I consider you a bro. And that's, why not? Why not? Why can't people just be reasonable? And if we don't agree on this, we can still be friends. And the argument here is that if you actually do want good Star Trek, as bros, we're telling you we saw it and it's excellent. You should give it a shot. And so just, give it a shot.
Yeah.
Like watch 45 minutes. And if you don't like it, come back and tell us why. We'll have a conversation. That doesn't involve you trying to punch me in the face through the internet. By the way,
right, yeah. And
that would be the super. If someone says, when people go, hey, what superpower do you want? Everyone goes flight and invisibility. I'm like, I want the ability to punch someone in the face through the internet.
Right. And I understand like the what we're dealing with here is like, okay, so Doomcock's tweet, right? And this last one of Doomcock's tweet that I want to talk about here. Okay, and this is why a lot of people believe the way they do is because they feel this way. There is no benefit of the doubt. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. If you support Picard, you are supporting those who murdered Star Trek. It's like buying a painting from the asshole who killed your wife, for fuck's sake. Only cucks thank people who spit in their face for years. Okay. So
it's so excessively offensive.
It's so unreasonable thing for what he just said. It's so unreasonable.
It's almost
and I'll tell you this.
It was almost written to be as unreasonable as possible.
Right. And I will say this. You only do that if you put a mask over your face. With all due respect. Because you don't write that stuff and let people know who you are.
It's entertaining, man. That's super entertaining.
Right. But you don't do that. So what I'm trying to say is, but you're comparing what happened to Star Trek to somebody killing your wife.
Right.
Okay. And I got to tell you, if you're married, then you'll know that that's not true. Okay. And essentially,
we call him a cuck. So also something having
he's
sex
calling
with your wife.
everyone cucks. Okay. So you're calling everyone a cuck that wants good new Star Trek.
Listen, no offense to cucks. That's your thing. Do what you gotta do.
No, I'm sorry. Whatever. But it's a derogatory thing. So I'm just trying to say, like, you can be reasonable when people disagree with you, but this is the mentality that we're saying, like, you can't watch Star Trek. If you're a big fan of Doomcock, listen, if you're a big fan of Doomcock, you watch his stuff and you're like, I believe whatever he tells me or whatever, then you obviously can't believe what we're saying, because he's saying that if you watch Star Trek Picard, you're a big pussy. That's basically it.
Right.
If you watch Star Trek Picard, you're a pussy. And Doomcock just basically said that. So note that going forward.
Damn.
And since I like Star Trek Picard season 3, I guess that makes me a big.
I guess that makes me a cuck.
I guess that makes me a cuck because
I'm a giant pussy.
Yeah, I guess so. But I got to tell you what, I'll be watching some good Star Trek. So,
hey, season 3 is good. That must mean I'm a cuck. Hey, you know what's funny about no kink shame out there? I'm into older women that paint their bodies green. So listen,
that's right.
Zero kink shaming. If you're a cuck, no problem. Do whatever you want.
A super chat from G-Man. I pray Picard is great, but the next season of Star Trek Discovery is following it. Great job, damn it, G-Man. I was like, so
just run us
excited
way
for a
down.
second. Then I remembered Discovery is coming behind it. Oh my God, you're right.
You know what's funny is like they go, what if Terry Matalas made a season of Discovery? I'm like, I don't think Discovery is savable.
It's not. It's not
like
anymore.
You would have to you would have to kill off most of the cast to make it work.
They're gonna try really hard this season to save it. They're gonna. Right. It's happening. Just so you guys know, there will be changes to Discovery. A lot of people may not recognize the changes, but inside the camp, they're gonna feel big changes. There's gonna be a difference in tone. I don't know if it's gonna be enough to save it. We don't really know, but I don't think it can be saved at this point. I mean, listen. You changed the Spock's canon and you made him have mental issues and you gave him a sister, and it just, you know what? Screw you guys. That still pisses me off. I
literally, you ruined my favorite character of all time. It's like you went back in time and retroactively effed my favorite character of all. The character.
You elevate your new character.
The character I grew up wanting to be like. I read fictional books written by Spock. I read books that are written by a fictional person as the cornerstone of how I should shape my life growing up. And you took that character, you took him, and you made him horrible to elevate, like you said, a completely different new character that I had never seen before.
Right.
F you, bro.
Yeah. No, that was a huge problem.
And it's canon. It's canon.
Right. And so you guys see how much that makes us mad, right?
Ah.
But that doesn't mean we're going to abandon Star Trek.
No, and we'll watch the next season of Discovery. We'll review it for sure. We haven't seen it yet, unlike Picard. But I gotta tell you, I'm predicting a ton of salts because for 4 or 5 seasons or whatever, that's what it's been.
Yeah,
like go to our Prime channel. We make a whole lot of Discovery videos. None. Since season 1, we haven't made a single Discovery video. We were like, we can't say anything good about this. We don't care about theorizing about it. We don't care about the characters. We're not going to fake it and make videos, even though we probably could have gotten a ton of views.
Probably.
But we don't care about it at all. We can't even make a theory video about it because we don't care what happens to Michael or who started the burn. We don't. I remember spitballing with Shane going, Shane, you know what? There's this new season of Discovery. It's about this burn that makes it so they can't use warp drive or dilithium or whatever. I'm like, what do you think? Maybe we should do a theory video. And Shane's like, do you want to watch all of that season? I'm like, no, of course not. He goes, then we can't make a theory video. Like, just because I know about the general premise, if I don't want to watch it and I don't care about it, then we can't fake it to make it, bro. Either you do what you love or you don't.
Right.
Like, Adam Carolla actually has, speaking of Adam Carolla, he has a great thing. He's like, he has 3 things. There are 3 reasons to do something in life. Ready? If it makes you money, if it makes you happy, right?
Yep.
Or if it makes someone you're effing happy. Those are the 3 things. Yeah. If it ain't making you money, and it ain't making you happy, and it ain't making someone that makes you happy, then don't bother. So when you go, hey, you want to make a season 3 Discovery theory video? No, it ain't going to make me happy. It's not going to make me enough money to make me happy, and it ain't making my wife happy. So no.
All right, well, let's continue this in the member section down the road because I know that we want to talk a lot more about it. So when we get to the members, we'll have another little discussion about this stuff so we can talk with everybody. Can you read John Burns' super chat real quick?
Oh, Brian does not have cancer. I thought he did. I'm sorry, Bald Brian. And he dropped Gina and Brian, who've been with him for like 15 years. And Jay Moore is guesting, and he's moving to Texas. Yeah, you know what? I'm surprised it took Adam this long to move to Texas, considering that all he complains about is like the building codes in California.
Jeremy Schneider super chat. How long is the show going tonight? Am I going to be able to go to the bar, get drunk, get food, head home, and listen to the end again? Jeremy, like every week, you can go do your thing and come back. We'll probably still be here. Oh, love you, man. Thanks for the support. Thank you,
Jeremy Snyder, my Viking brother.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we're gonna wrap up this segment because it's now 2 hours long. If you like more, if you want to hear more of this, or you have something to say about it, hit that comment section. Let us know what you guys think about everything we talk about today. Listen, I would ask you this question before you comment, and just call us cocks or shills or whatever. Right, because that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Like,
don't come to my house and do it. I can promise you.
It's like 15% of all comments are like, shill. I just like consider it, like genuinely consider what was said in this video, and I'd like to just talk about reasonably, like reasonable bros. Let's be bros, okay, for this video. And, if you still want to call me a cuck, I guess, no kink shame. Do your thing.